Hey everybody, this is Rich in Media. I just wanted to pretty much make a video on some of the new developments and some of the things that the players have been saying recently. So hey, stick with me here. We're gonna go ahead and run it, and let's get it started.
Yeah. Die line with the new style. Every week now I switch to a new style. 212s in the back just blew out. Everything I do end up in a new style. Lead a club with a few now. Just some Hollywood girls and they do.
All right, so I hope you like that intro. This is something new that I'll be introducing to the channel. The first thing that I want to get into, guys, is what's going on with Miles Sanders in the media recently. He came out with some new statements here. He stated, as a quote, hey, the last game of the season for all the marbles. If they put themselves in my shoes, would they be happy? Miles Sanders is talking about the touches that he got for the Super Bowl, that being 7. Um, with that being said, I don't think that anybody, on the Eagles team is happy about how that Super Bowl transpired. But that's not to say that you didn't necessarily get your chances. So that's one thing that I did want to say is that, Miles Sanders and Kenneth Gainwell had the same amount of touches in the Super Bowl, and that number is the number 7. Okay. Miles Sanders had about like 16, 17 yards. Kenneth Gainwell had 21. I do want to note that Kenneth Gainwell did get an additional 4 receptions for 20 yards. So overall, Kenneth Gainwell's sample size in the Super Bowl, was bigger than Miles Sanders, and he did do more with that sample size. But you have to kind of look at, you know, what's working and what's not working. That's the coach's job to do. In that game, Miles Sanders was, getting touches and it wasn't working. He wasn't moving forward. I specifically remember Miles Sanders getting shut down pretty good during a majority of his carries that he got during the Super Bowl. And so we can't waste a whole game, or we can't waste a whole half trying to make sure that just one player gets his touches to make sure that you're happy. So we had to go with what worked, and what worked was the RPOs. Jalen Hurts was the leading rusher on the team in the Super Bowl. And what I really want to get into here is some of the stats, and I'm going to post the stats up here for the Super Bowl with rushing. Jalen Hurts had 15 attempts and 70 yards rushing. Jalen Hurts had 3 touchdowns. And so what I do want to state is that, like, Jalen Hurts at the time, I mean, sad to say, at the time for that game, Jalen Hurts was the best rusher on the team. And so, I mean, that's just kind of what Jalen Hurts showed. If you wanted more touches, you were going to have to show that what you were doing was working for the team. And so that's one thing I don't think Miles is understanding. And 1 minute you're like, hey, listen, thank you, Philly, I appreciate you for everything, appreciate the fans. And then the next minute he's talking about touches in the Super Bowl that he didn't get. But my thing is, like, even if it is the media or some guy pulling it out of you, I think Miles Sanders knows better. I think, he shouldn't let these guys, this media try to make distractions or try to make him a headline. And so, all the respect in the world for Miles Sanders. He's a really great player. He did awesome, last season. Rushed for over 1,000 yards. Just a really great running back. Eagles had to go in another direction. Miles Sanders, obviously wanted to be re-signed, obviously wanted more money. But we have to do what's best for the team. And I think, as you can see in my channel, I posted DeAndre Swift highlights. We do have DeAndre Swift now. We have continued to keep Kenneth Gainwell. We have Rashad Penny as well. So we kind of have a 3-headed monster here. If they stay healthy, this all works out. So I'm just excited for the new running backs from the team, and I wish Miles Sanders the best, but I just think that it would just be best to keep himself out of the headlines and keep himself from this, because at the end of the day, all that just serves as a distraction for his new team, the Panthers and the Eagles. And it's a good thing I haven't seen any players respond to that yet. I think that they're really just kind of like ignoring. I don't. What does Jalen Hurts say? The rat poison. You know what I mean? Just ignore the rat poison and stay focused on your OTAs. So, speaking of OTAs here, I want to talk about some of the standouts that Nick Sirianni was talking about. And one specific standout that he talked about was Quez Watkins. He was saying, Quez Watkins is fueled. Oh, these people think, I'm not good enough, or these people don't think, I'm good. So I'm going to show them. It just seems like Sirianni during his press conference was talking about a certain level of intensity that Quez Watkins was coming out at OTAs with. And that's all fine and dandy, but I don't think the fans doubt that Quez doesn't have intensity or doesn't care or I don't even think that we're saying he doesn't have talent. What I'm hearing from a lot of the groups and a lot of the fans and a lot of people who I've talked to in the fan base who are skeptical of Quez Watkins, the fact of the matter is Quez dropped a really big reception on the highest stage. And during one particular loss, during with the Washington Redskins, another stage where it was a big reception, and secondary off the not Redskins but Commanders punched the ball out, and that's just something that's kind of like not acceptable to consistently see that on these big stages or those very, very important times during games, you're just not showing up. So I think until Quez goes out there and kind of takes what he's done at OTAs and translate it to the field, translate that skills and everything that he's doing, and we see evidence that he can perform in these big spots, in these big games, I think that's when a lot of people will come around. But right now, I mean, Eagles fans, are pretty much just being honest about what they're seeing, is that we're not consistently seeing Quez Watkins do good on the big stages or on the places where it matters. So again, that's not saying he's not a good player. That's not saying that he doesn't have talent, because he obviously does. He wouldn't be on the team if he did. But we just like to see a little bit more off that sample size. So that's one big thing here. To move on here now, I want to move on to what Jalen Hurts has said. Jalen Hurts is pretty much, was asked on the podium here, what are some standouts to you on OTAs? What are some things you're seeing as far as new players go? Okay, what are what I mean? Because they were asking, there's a lot of people who departed. There's a lot of people who the Eagles have acquired. What from that acquisition list stands out to you? And Jalen Hurts actually have a pretty hilarious quote here. Kelsey's back. That stood out. So I think that, quotes like this is what make Jalen Hurts such a great franchise quarterback, is that he's not going to run his mouth and like let you know, oh man, da, 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 da. Like, no, he's about his business and about making himself better. And also he's not about running his mouth about any insights on the team. Like, he's not going to let you in on, oh, well, I can see this guy being my special weapon, or I can see this guy is gonna, I'm gonna give him a lot of targets. There's some QBs in the NFL that do stuff like that. Jalen Hurts isn't one of them. So Jalen Hurts, pretty much obvious, hey, listen, this veteran's here. He's very important to this team. He is a Hall of Famer. Talking about Jason Kelsey, and I'm just glad to see him come back. That stood out to me. So not letting us in on too much here. I low key think he to put that into translation, I think that he's taking the high road on this, because I think that he's actually very excited. I mean, who's not going to get excited when last year we didn't necessarily have a pass catching running back that did over 20 catches in the season. So the fact that we have DeAndre Swift, and DeAndre Swift is a 50 catch, a year running back. And again, look at some of his highlights on this channel. I guarantee you will not regret it. It's really great highlights. I think, I had a lot of Eagles fans and stuff ask me, why not highlight you had to do the Eagles like that and have him run up? But it's like, listen, he's going to make us better by us getting that skill. That running back, and that he's just not like the running backs on the roster. We haven't had a pass catching running back that's been consistent in a while. I mean, since Shady. Since Shady. I mean, maybe Ryan Matthews going back into the 2014s and 15s and things like that. Maybe like Brian Matthews was our last running back where you could see him consistently catch. But even then, like DeAndre Swift is very, very consistent. So just happy to have him as a player. But we, Zacchaeus from the Atlanta Falcons, we got him to compete with Quez Watkins. You already know we upped the defense with these new draft picks here. And so just very excited about some of the new players and acquisitions. I'm sure Jalen's excited, but Jalen's focused. Jalen's always going to be focused and not going to let you in on too much. And I'm sure he's 100% excited. And he was throwing some long balls out there to DeAndre Swift. The Eagles actually posted that. And so, who is this long reception to? Is it to, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith? Is it to Quez? No. In OTAs, Jalen Hurts is throwing long receptions to DeAndre Swift, our running back. So, I'm very excited. I hope you are too. Thanks for hanging in there, whoever's watched the video to this point. We're going to be bringing the heat up. We're going to be bringing some more information onto this channel. And we're going to continue doing the rich and media highlights. That's just something that I love to do. And I want to be a channel that talks, but a channel that also drops a lot of great highlights. So stick in, like and subscribe. Turn on that notification button so whenever I post, you're going to get some good news. We're going to have some good insights and some good conversations. All right, take care.